Hey folks, Mil-Spec Ops Monkey here. Today, I want to talk to you a little bit about satellite phones. Now, if you've ever been in a situation where comms are down, you know very quickly how critical it can be to reach out and touch someone in the event of an emergency. Whether you're popping smoke for an exfil, in a remote location where there is no cell phone coverage, or in a natural disaster, maybe even off the grid. Well, not that far off the grid. But having a satellite phone in your quiver can be a real game changer. And one of the beauties about a satellite phone is that it can also be used without giving up your precise location, unlike a cell phone. All you need is an open sky, and the satellites do the rest. Now, for my satellite phone needs, I use a satellite phone store, as they have several options as well as lots of different plans available to fit your needs. Plus, they have a ton of accessories like Faraday pouches, hard cases, etc. They also have an exclusive offer for the Monkey Nation. Just go to sat123.com/monkeywerx via the link in the description box below, or call 619-399-3800 and tell them Monkey sent you. All right, welcome folks, Mil-Spec Ops Monkey here. Just wanted to also point out, if you are deciding to do one of these for Christmas, they do have some supplies and stock set aside for Monkey Nation, but after that is gone, it's going to be about a 4 to 6 week lead time. So plan accordingly if you decide to do the sat phone. So that said, let me jump over to our board. I am actually standing this evening. I decided to try to go wireless and see how that works, but let's jump over here to Skyglass and you guys can see what's going on. It's actually pretty quiet out. Skyglass has got more activity than ADSB right now. So we'll start out on this and we'll transition over and then we'll go through kind of the normal spread. But just want to point this one out. I thought this was an interesting, you don't see these too often in the US. This is a Russian Antonov. They do come in from time to time. They carry, they're probably the largest cargo carrier in the world. They can carry massive, massive structures. And I mean, you could put helicopters inside these things very easily, bigger than a C5. And they are just a hoss, a work hoss. So anyway, that bad dude is up. Looks like it's up kind of on the Iowa-Nebraska border. But let's see here. I just want to go over while we're looking. Let me pop up the list and see what our numbers are. Like I said, the numbers are really, really low right now. So we'll take a look and see if we've got anything. We've got 4 C-17s. Like I said, this is all that's really showing, and these include the pink birds. As you can see, these pink ones right here, by the way, these are going to be the ones that are masked. Okay, so you can see over Florida, a lot of aircraft that don't want to be tracked, so to speak. One tanker up. Like I said, this is really low. One Chinook, which is going to be your banana copters. A couple PC-12s. Let me go over to my favorites real fast and see if we've got anything other than that. Now, let's see, this one that's up here in our shot looks to be one of our tracker birds we do for immigration. So that's kind of an interesting look there. Okay, let's see, we do have gray. That one was still, let me see if it's still up, but this is one of your spy birds. And that was actually in El Paso, a little BE-20, but it's got, you can see, if you look at the picture up here, it's got antennas galore. This thing is really set for doing some tracking and surveillance type of work. And so it looks like it's headed down north of Corpus Christi in that general area. So there's that. Now we'll look over on, looks like in Germany, we've got a couple. These that are grayed out aren't flying right now. Okay, so that's on my watch list, so to speak. We do have this one over in Germany. That's going to be one of your guardian angels that are basically hovering above Germany. Been there for a long time now. And so they are basically watching everything that's going on. There's 3 of them. Last time we looked in our last sit rep, they're actually sitting at about 62,700 foot up, and all 3 just kind of hovering in that same spot. I expect, or we think they are balloons, just like our Google balloons that we have over here that are no longer Google balloons, but military op balloons, okay? All right, so let me back up on this just a tad. Let's get over to these. I do have one interesting I'm going to kind of bug in on in a second to look at. It was going into, well, look like it was on the track for Guantanamo Bay, which was actually one of our Director of Homeland Security, which you don't see that one go into Guantanamo Bay very often. So that makes you kind of wonder who is there for them to be down there, right? So now this is, yeah, these are just a couple Learjets, little private jobs. All right, nothing to see there. All right, let me back up. Let me bounce out of this for a minute. We may go back and look at Europe at the end of this if it's still tracking. Now, I hit the P button on this because they were dropping like flies. Like I said, this is at 51. If I turn that P button off, it is it dwindles down into 30s, I think. So these are gray ones on ground, all right? And then these, this is C101. This is the one I'm going to look at. We actually have that pulled up. We'll look at here in a minute when we get over to Guantanamo Bay. So that said, let me turn the P off here and let's see how many drop down. We're at like 24. This is probably the lightest I've seen other than maybe a Sunday evening on a holiday. So not too much up in the sky. We do have this little tanker still up, and we've had a lot of tanker activity off of this Nantucket general area off the East Coast. So we'll look at that closer. I also want to talk a little bit about some of the air refueling stuff that we were talking on the other day. So, all right, let's look over at TFRs real fast. Like I said, this is going to be covered. This is Nantucket. We've got Flashbang, and of course you got the Kenyan both right there. I almost wonder if their houses share a tunnel. But evidently, Flashbang has been going up there since 1975 for Thanksgiving. And so there is that. Brown Zone, that's a standing one we always see. Disney. These orange boxes are storms that are coming across. I don't know why they're on my feed. I've never been there before. And I didn't change anything, so for some reason they are now showing up. So I have to figure that one out later. This is going to be Beale over here in California. That's Air Force Base. You see a lot of U-2s and things coming out of that location. And then, of course, our border stuff, as you can see. This is an earthquake down here in Baja. And then as I get in a little closer, I'm going to see what these boxes are. High wind. All right, so it looks like they got high wind coming off the coast there of San Diego and Southern Cal. All right, that's probably why they have that fire danger going on. So let me back out of this. That's going to be the TFRs again, kind of a non-event. Now this is going to be Flashbang. As you can see, he is down in Nantucket through Sunday, and so not going to be too much other than watching for the fighters that are definitely up on a regular basis there. So, okay. There is that one. Now let's go. Let me just take a quick look at what he is doing over here on the thing. Of course, this is going to be his not Build Back Better, but Brokeback Brandon. And as we get over here to the board, we can look at the Marines. And I say Marine, I meant Marine, not as in military Marine, but the Marine activity. So these are boats that are anchored, waiting to get in to be unloaded. As you can see, the problem has not gotten any better. All of these little green dots are all still trying to be unloaded. So I don't know what the current lead time is from the time it arrives here to the time it actually gets unloaded. But last we checked, it was 17 days. I would imagine that it is a lot longer than that now. So, but there is that. You can see they're racked and stacked. Okay, now here's one of the things I did want to talk about. The other day, I mentioned the fact that I was looking at one of the air refuelers and it was owned by a third party. And I had some salty dude decide to come sideways on me and try to correct me. And I think he misread what I was saying. So I want to just point this out and make sure I was clear on it. This is a third party company. That plane is owned by a lease company that is going to be, I think this was maybe Wilmington Trust, I think is the name that covers these aircraft. But it's called a mega tanker. And I didn't know these even existed. And I was watching this aircraft as it kind of rolled along between Jacksonville, Florida, and kind of out the point there, Hatteras, North Carolina, and that general area. And I said, man, you don't often see a tanker that's got a third-party owner like this, right? And so that's what I was talking about. And so evidently, this is a commercial company that provides air refueling services to our military, which is kind of cool. So they jumped in on the business. Now, you can't track these airplanes. I tried. I looked, other than just catching it on there. But for those not familiar, now this refueling capability right here, that's what they call as a basket, right? And so this F-35, this particular F-35 uses that basket to refuel. Now the other variants don't. They have the door that's on the top behind the cockpit that they hook into. And that's a different type of refueler. So this one has the boom that comes out that's got the little catch basket. You'll see those on C-130s and prop jobs. Helicopters refuel off the C-130s using this same technique. Then there's the other one. And so let me kind of get over here. I just want to show you the difference. Now this is an F-22 that's actually rolling in. Now that is a boom, and this is I think Nebraska Air National Guard. But you can see, now watch how that plane, that fighter kind of makes all the corrections. That thing is a trip. It's just absolutely amazing how precise you have to be. There's not a lot of distance between that fighter and the back of that aircraft, as you can see. And so that little boom comes out, and you're basically right in the slipstream of that jet, of that tanker. And so if there's any errors, any mistakes, that little thing that looks like a bee stinger, they've had them where they've actually driven them straight into the cockpit. I've seen B-52s land with the part of that sticking out of the cockpit windows. So it busts right through. It's just amazing, but it doesn't take much. And if that plane, that fighter were to hit turbulence or have something happen and tap out while it's connected, it could potentially hit one of the flight control surfaces and otter that tanker right into the ground. But these pilots are just, I mean, the skill set on this to do this is very difficult, especially with the boom. It's easier with the catch basket, believe it or not. But the boom stuff on this F-22, it's just insane. So wanted to point that out. Also, you'll notice when we get over here to ADSB, there is a way, if you want to look, if you're looking at particular tankers, and you want, like we always talk about, when there's tankers, there's usually fighters, right? You're not going to see the fighters 99.9% of the time, okay? You'll see the tanker activity like we have right here, this one up off the East Coast. You can see that it's actually rolling out. He's probably going to start running laps. Now, if you go into Open ADSB Exchange, you can actually go down to US Air Refueling, and you select that, and it's going to give you basically the swim lanes or the tracks that the air refuelers will fly. Typically, they're at or about 25,000 feet is kind of their average. You see this one's at 35,000 feet. That could be the altitude set just based on, choppiness or whatever it may be in the area. But typically around 25,000 feet, you'll see them. They'll run this line, and that basically at that altitude, that particular line or tract, they'll keep all the air traffic clear of that. And so these guys will just fly right along that line, and the fighters will come in, get some go juice, and then bug out. Fighters have to do that very frequently because they don't have big capacity of fuel. And if they ever have to go, supersonic or anything along those lines, they will burn fuel very quickly. And so they've got to get, they'll go bingo fuel is what they call it. And so they have a choice to either hook up with one of these or return to base if they have enough to get there, right? So bingo is basically just enough fuel to get you back to base, I think is how that works. But these boxes, as you can see, these are refueling boxes where they just basically have the leeway to just kind of hang around that general area for refueling, whereas the lines are just the tracks. Now, I've seen the US start to go more of this box, but you can see there are air refueling tracks numbered. They're AAR, and then they give them a number, and they are all over the United States, as you can see. And so C-130s can do it. They will do it for helicopters, but it's pretty amazing. And when you see a third-party company like that, it's just, to me, that just blows me away. It's very cool to see somebody come in and basically offer that service. Just, I don't know, neat to see. Like I said, that's what I was pointing out. And but there you have that. That's air refueling, and I just want to kind of touch on that a little bit. So when you're seeing these on the routes and you see a tanker that's flying along, kind of like this one here, this is an air refueler, right? And this is one that's got that boom on the back, refueling boom. But when you see them flying along, that's a Turkish air refueler. Very interesting. Let me back up just a second. Is that what we're looking at here? So that, all right, so he's probably not, well, he may be giving gas to some folks. Don't see that very often either. So we've got a Turkish air refueler. Looks like it's leaving, coming out of Oklahoma City. That was probably in depot maintenance of some sort. So they probably have a maintenance contract there to do that. So looks like he's departing and heading back. So there's that. I didn't even notice that was Turkish. That's kind of interesting. All right. So anyway, there is that. Now, if you go over here to the UK, you can actually go up here to the filters and also hit air refueling. Let me see if it'll give me the UK air refueling. Here it is, down here on the bottom under Europe. And that's going to be your air refueling tracks. Now you can see they don't do the lines over there. All they do are basically boxes, all right? And that gives them the leeway to float back and forth within that box. So there is that on the air refueling side. Let's pump over here to flight radar. Just wanted to show you what's going on volcanic-wise. Last couple times we've checked in, we've had the ones in Russia just blowing and going, and then we had the one in actually up here in Alaska, the two of them really going. Looks like they have subsided. Now we got this one that's down here in, let's see here, that is east, so south of Indonesia over here in, there's got Jakarta here, and so, but that one, let me see if we've got how bad that one is blowing. Not too bad, actually. You can see that's, okay, so that's going to be your ash ring around that. So they'll deviate traffic, air traffic around that if they need to. Then, of course, we've got these 5 that are still running. It seems like they are always going along Central and South America. And then we've got La Palma, which is still just, like I said, cranking. So these dark lines that run across here, that's just dark. That's this thing ties into light and dark. So that's nighttime over there. That's why you see those lines, okay? All right, so let's get over here real fast and just look at what's going on delay-wise on airports for those that are going to be traveling. Looks like Memphis is the one that's behind right now. They are sitting down, let's see, 1 hour and 30 minutes, but it's decreasing. So they're coming off of whatever caused that. Don't really know. I don't see any weather over that at the time of the delays. We actually have weather moving in. Dallas Love Field is because they're down to one runway, and that's why that is showing a 25-minute delay. And then LaGuardia, I mean, 16 minutes to 30 minutes, that's LaGuardia. So that's kind of light, actually. But there's that. So it doesn't look like they're just right here, general in Texas and Tennessee look like the only 2 that are actually have any kind of impact. So, all right, let's get over here and look at Biggs Army Airfield. It's been really quiet all day, although we did have this one fly in. This is a Delta airline that came in to Biggs. Now, I'm not really sure. This is kind of an interesting, now this is Biggs Army Airfield right here, and this is El Paso International. And so I didn't look at it closely. You cannot taxi between the 2. I thought maybe you could, and that just changed your airport code or whatever. It looks like they have to actually take off and come back in to change airports. But that said, they are literally a hop, skip, and a jump away from each other. Now, I just want to point out this thing looks like it came in from Atlanta, ATL, yesterday, and then it's there parked. Actually, this was today, actually, Hartsfield to that. So I don't know where the other leg is or where it went. I just know that it showed up again. And so coming in from Atlanta to here, we'll watch it to see. It's not on the departure board. At least I couldn't find it on the departure board earlier today. So let me back up and see if we can get anything info on it, where it might be going. But that's the only one rolling in. That could be a troop carrier. I don't know. But let me see. It is not even on the schedule. So it's not there. Let's go over here back to our main, see if we've got any intel on it down here in scheduled departures under more. Not on there yet. So it's parked and ready to go. So we'll see. That that could be taken, you know, some of the last poppies out. I'm not sure. Now, I will tell you that all the folks coming in from Afghanistan, it seems to have kind of settled out a little bit. I think they've got to move to the locations in terms of the camps, but I'm not sure if they've got them all placed in all the states. I will tell you there's a lot of flights that they're hiding from us that we aren't able to see. So if they did move them, then we need to keep our eyes on the camps themselves to make sure that those go away. All right, for obvious reasons. Okay. All right. So this is going to be, this is Laughlin over in Del Rio. Again, super quiet today. Not too much going on. Had a couple, these are actually trainers. We did have a Southwest roll in from Alexandria. We'll look at those. Or sorry, that's a Swift Air that came in from Alexandria. Seeing a lot of rotation through Alexandria right now, which could be one of two things. It should technically be folks that are being deported out of the country. And if that's the case, when we look over here at the Swift Air flights, you'll see a lot of that activity. And so let me, on that note, let me bump over here to Swift. And then you can see this was actually earlier today. One of the things I did note when I was looking at the Swift flights from the morning to the evening is that in the morning, everything is south of the border. And then in the afternoon, everything seems to start taking shape up on the north end into the continental U.S. So you can see we've got a flight here rolling out of Laredo over to Alexandria. We've got another one, border town, running to Miami. We've got a Jacksonville headed back to Alexandria, El Paso to San Antonio. Those are just moving people back, basically repositioning assets there. Then you got one out of Mexico headed to the border town of Valley. You have another one that's El Salvador headed to Alexandria, which is that 72-hour holding facility. And then we've got a couple kind of oddballs here. Atlantic City down to Palm Beach, Reno out to, I don't know where Epley Field is, but, and then Tupelo to Oakland. So those don't really make a lot of sense unless these may be where we are actually putting final homes for people that have come into the country, and we're just giving them a free ride. Why not? Gave them free everything else, right? So, all right, so there is that. Let's get over here to the live arrow, or iAero, sorry, live flight. This is Swift Air. And just kind of show you, it looks like we've got Pittsburgh over to Louisville, Kentucky. Illinois to Daugherty Field, which that's Long Beach, California. And then there's our holding facility again, back to Phoenix. And then we've got this one here coming out of Clearwater over to Sioux Falls, South Dakota. So interesting. Now that Nebraska to Laughlin. Laughlin is their home base operations. That may be just deadheading back. So there's that. All right. Like I said, in the morning, everything is south of the border, all the way down into Central and South America. And in the afternoon, it's all up here in the United States. So, okay. Now, let's get over here to some specific Swift Air flights. This is N397SW. You can see this one coming out of Honduras up to the border town, Harlingen, Texas. So, my opinion is that they're giving some free rides. I would imagine we probably have folks coming in and bringing them into our country. Of course, when they get into this area, they're bypassing the border, right? They're landing in internal of the country. Brownsville's over here, and so this is just right up the road. There is that one, okay? And these are probably people that are getting asylum free passes. They probably land there, and then they get pushed in somewhere else within the country. All right, and this one is El Paso to San Antonio. This is actually N531AU, landed 4 hours, 12 minutes ago. But you can see they are still continuing to move people back and forth. I don't understand. I guess this is a processing function. And so, you know, coming out of El Paso over here, I don't know why they don't just fly them straight out of El Paso and send them onto their destination, but they go through this process for some reason and through San Antonio, okay? All right, so there is that. And then let's get over here to Guantanamo Bay and take a quick look. Now this one is, I don't know, that right there is your one. Okay. All right, it doesn't want to show me that, but I've got it already because we caught it coming in. So that is an aircraft likely coming into Guantanamo Bay that's trying to mask itself, okay? But you can see the board is clear on the arrivals. We don't really have anything but our normal flights right here. Okay, let me get back to the main board over here for the spa. Nothing en route or scheduled. Okay, now let's go over here to C101, which, let me see, that bad dude. All right, that's giving me something different now. Ha, 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 ha. Oh, they did it to me. All right, so let's go back over here because I'm going to see if I can catch it. This is C101. They wiped the flight. So what does that tell you? Okay. Oh boy, I tell you what, they do it all the time. So let's back up. Let me turn off some of this congestion here, get these lines off. Let me hit, all right, yeah, we lost it. Okay, so C-101 is actually, turn that off. That is landing right now. So this shows up here, this is very interesting. So this was Monday the 22nd, landed 2 days ago. Just a couple minutes ago, I was looking at it and it was en route. It was actually had kicked right off the coastline here. And so if I back up, it was actually out here and it's turning in. So if we get over to this and we hit this aircraft right here, it doesn't want to give us anything. So I don't know what's going on with that one, but they don't want us tracking that for some reason. Now, C-101 is, as you saw, that is going to be one of your Gulf Streams. It is the Director of Homeland Security, I believe. And so, or the Assistant Director, because they kind of alternate between 202 and 101. But that bad dude is rolling in, he's on descent, and he is hiding his, he's come right around the corner there, yeah. You can see there. Now look, if I back out, he disappears. All right, so there you have it. He's coming in there for some reason. Now, typically you don't see a lot of Homeland Security folks coming in there. What I do see going into Guantanamo Bay are the blue and white dignitary birds, right? And so you'll get senators and people like that that fly in on those. But this guy right here, Homeland Security, tells you, you know, I don't know why he'd be going there. I mean, I know we've got a trial that's been going on for 20 years. I've never seen this bird actually fly into there before. So another data point, the fact that they're hiding it is an even bigger data point, okay? The fact that literally a minute ago when I was on this, I was tracking it, it was actually en route, and then it, yeah, they have completely wiped it. So they took it away. So there you have it. They must have known I was going live at 6:30. They're like, let's get him off the line. I'm just kidding. But anyway, so there's that. Now let's get over to 301 AZ. This is one of our agency birds that frequents in and out of Guantanamo Bay as well. Landed 1 hour, 12 minutes ago. It was up here in Wilkesboro, North Wilkesboro, North Carolina, down to Lauderdale. We'll keep our eye on that. Don't know if it was related or not, but I do want to point out that it was also started out at Opelika this morning and headed up to Wilkesboro. So Opelika is one of those locations that we've been watching for quite some time. It has some history of being an agency location, a black site. You can go back all the way to the Cuban Missile Crisis, and they actually, the CIA actually had a location down there that, you know, they worked covertly during that crisis. So not unlike them to be there, okay? Now, this is 302 AZ. Now, notice this thing is starting to do a lot of activity out of Naples, which is new. Didn't start the activity out of Naples until we saw that Naples plane fly directly into Guantanamo Bay, which was that other privately owned small bird like this one. So I don't know, there's got to be a connection somewhere. I'm not sure what it is, but we'll continue to watch these. But you can see this bad dude was up in Cincinnati earlier today, flew down to Naples. It could be just some civilians taking an expensive ride. Who knows? Just can't tell. All right, now this one, N312FU, this is a Maxwell bird rolling out of Bedford, Massachusetts on Monday down to Lauderdale, and it hasn't done anything since. We had looked at that. I just wanted to pop it on there just in case it had moved today. And so it hasn't. So, but this is one that we actually watch quite a bit. If you guys remember, this is the Maxwell bird that actually showed up at Guantanamo Bay around the time Miss Maxwell was arrested. All right. Okay, so there is that. And last but not least, this is going to be our N183 PA. This is actually, we tracked this one down into Africa. It's back up in Stuttgart, Germany today. Again, anytime it's out here in this general area, you know, this is where we get a lot of wild stuff like monkeypox, smallpox, Ebola is rampant in that general area. And so anytime you see agency birds or known agency birds rolling in and out of Africa, always makes you kind of raise an eyebrow. And so looks like it is back as of today up here in Stuttgart, Germany. Okay. that again. So, all right, listen, that's going to wrap us up. Not really anything else to see. You can see this is pretty quiet out right now. So I will be back. We're going to take actually Friday off. And so we will be back on Monday with our next sit rep unless something crazy changes over the weekend. So you guys be safe out there. For those in the Q&A, I will be seated and I will have my mic going. And so we won't have any sound issues. So I'll see you guys over in the Q&A. You guys be safe out there. God bless. Out. Check out the latest gear and products at monkeyworksus.com.